I have the best idea. So, proto-indo-european is the hypothetical ancestor of all the Indo-European languages, right? And it was never written down, but we can make educated guesses about what it might have sounded like based on all the traits of its daughter languages, and that's not important right now. What is important is that the acronym for proto-indo-european is PIE, pi, and that we have reconstructed versions of what pi numbers might have sounded like. So, picture this. It's March 14th. I bake a pie. On that pie, I write 314 in pi. Now what I have is a pi for Pi Day. The big question here is, can I go further? Well, my initial idea was that maybe I could write pie as in the food in pie too, but the issue is that obviously we don't really have a reconstructed word for pie. In fact, according to everywhere I've been able to find, nobody's exactly sure where the word pie came from. The Oxford English Dictionary lists the etymology as uncertain, and other sources like the Online Etymology Dictionary and Wikipedia also cite this. We're not really sure, probably related to the medieval Latin pia, or maybe even from magpies, because just like magpies collect random odds and ends, pies were collections of lots of different meats and vegetables all piled together. And ultimately, the name magpie is made up of two parts, the first being mag, as in a nickname for Margaret, which used to be associated with idle chattering and gossip, and the second part being pie, the earlier name of the bird, which ultimately comes from this pie word. So if we add this word to our pie as well, now we have kind of a pie and pie for Pi Day. Can I go further? Well, maybe instead I can describe a pie in pie, right? But that's a lot harder than it sounds, too. I've looked at lots of different sources for pie dictionaries and grammars, and there's simultaneously too much and too little for me to wrap my head around. I thought maybe I could write something like a bowl of bread with fruit, but it turns out the etymology for bread is also contested, coming from either a pie word meaning to boil or bubble, referring to the leavening, or maybe from a Proto-Germanic word meaning to break. And it turns out the English word and many other words for fruit come from a pie word meaning to enjoy. But according to the University of Texas in Austin's pie resource, we have this word for seed or grain, this word for vessel, and one of these words for berry or fruit, and even this word for inside, and that's the closest I've been able to find. So hypothetically, I could put these words together to make a vessel of grain with berries, or berries in a grain vessel. I'd just need to figure out how to put them together. And if I managed to do all that, I'd have pie written in pie twice and pie in pie both written on my pie, making it a pie and pie for Pi Day. Can I go further? Well, I don't know. I can't, think of any more pies to add. My sources are in the description.